Mr. Jain truly loves what he does, and his passion and love of life are evident after speaking to him for just a couple of hours. A profound speaker once said that Ashwani Jain was the most inspirational, intelligent, and motivational person, and those are just his own words. Now I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Jain.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How's everyone doing? You got to do better than that. I said, how's everyone doing? All right. Much better. Well, thank you all so much for having me. It is such a huge honor for me to be standing here as your very first alumni speaker. I want to sincerely thank Mrs. Perrette for the offer and Dr. Benz for accepting. Thank you. Now, graduation is a time when you feel all sorts of emotion. Some of you may even be wondering how you're graduating in the first place. For those folks, I can assure you, your teachers are wondering the same thing. But just remember why you're all here. You are all here for one reason. Ready? Up top!
And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands
go up.
And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there. Down, cause all I do is win. And if you going in, put your hands in.
All right. Woo! Okay. Yeah. I have always wanted to do that. Woo! All right. Moving on. So, just 7 years ago, yeah, that just happened, by the way. So, just 7 years ago, I was sitting exactly where you are all today. In fact, these are the same robes that I wore the day of my graduation. I did not grow, unfortunately, but that's another story. Thank you. So, I know that some of you are scared of what comes next. Graduation is a scary time. But I can tell you from my experience that you should not be scared. And the reason is, if I can do it, so can you. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a cancer that is rarely found in children. In fact, at the time, I was one of only 25 kids in the country with that disease. Years later, when I was 21, doctors found a rare heart condition known as WPW. The doctors deemed my condition to be a special case because only a very small percentage of people with that rare condition even develop symptoms at such a young age. And last year, when I was 23 years old, I found myself back in the hospital after doctors discovered that my heart condition resurfaced. A recurrence of that disease after treatment occurs in only less than 1% of patients. So, in each of these situations, whether it was with my diagnosis or with the surgeries that followed, I was that special case you hear about in the brochures. I was that rare anomaly. So, when my doctor told me that laughter was the best and, quite frankly, the only medicine I needed, I realized that I should have seen a real doctor instead of Dr. Dre. Oh, come on, that was funny. And it's going to be a long day, guys. Anyway, needless to say, I've been through a lot. But through all of that, I've learned two important lessons. First, I've learned that the best way to help myself is to help others. I remember a doctor once came into our hospital room where 10 other kids were getting chemotherapy alongside me. Now, this doctor took time out of his very small lunch break to dress up as a clown, go around to each of our beds, and perform some small magic tricks to distract us from the pain. And that's precisely the moment I became inspired to give back. So today, I now perform charity magic shows, and I try to give back every second that I can. The takeaway? I have learned that the only way to truly guarantee success in life is to be extremely kind, extremely generous, and extremely humble. If you all do this, even if success does not come right away, I can promise you from my experience that it will come. Because in the end, good things will always happen to good people. You just have to wait for that golden ticket. In my life, it took me 7 years to get my golden ticket. But because I worked hard, because I stayed humble and generous, and because I was patient, I now have my dream job, and I get to work in a place that I really love. Second, I've learned to have a positive attitude no matter what I'm going through. I remember during my first chemotherapy session, I remember feeling really down about myself and the situation I was in. I looked at all my friends and my classmates, and I thought to myself, why can't I be like them? Why is this happening to me? It's just not fair. I don't think I can do this. But as soon as I turned my head and looked around the hospital room, every other child there was not only younger than me, but they each had harsher conditions and longer treatments. So then it hit me, wow, I'm the luckiest kid in this hospital. The takeaway? If you guys ever think that you can't do something, if you ever think you're not good enough, not capable enough, or not smart enough, please trust me when I tell you that you can do anything. I have literally been one breath away from death 3 times before hitting the age of 24. But look at me now. I'm healthier than I've ever been, and I have the privilege of speaking to you all today. You can clap for that. Now, of course, there are still moments where I lose my positivity. Things can get to the best of us all. But these days, whenever I start to get overwhelmed, I do what any self-respecting, 24-year-old, healthy, good-looking guy should do. That wasn't the funny part. What I do when I get overwhelmed is I get in my car, I roll the windows down, and I blast some of that Frozen's Let It Go music. Hey, I just can't hold it back anymore, all right? But please, just remember to not let the struggles of today get in the way of the potential of tomorrow. Now, I want to end with a quote by the late and great Nelson Mandela. But first, let me take a selfie. Oh, man. Nelson Mandela once said, he said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived it. It is the difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the lives we lead today." So, graduating class of 2014, please think about the lives you're all going to lead once you step out those doors today. Because if you lead it right, you never know what great things can happen. And maybe even one day, you'll find yourself lucky enough to get invited to be the commencement speaker at your high school's graduation. That's my time. Thanks so much, guys.